Wearing an absurd number of jackets because it's colder than a London summer. This is Tell It to Someone. First question is from Robert Wallace. I was raising a Daemon and it got stuck in the portal. What is the best lubricant for raising infertile beings? Well, of course, you could try a personal lubricant or possibly some sort of WD-40, which is a good all-purpose lubricant. Or maybe you are using this as like an analogy or some sort of because something's stuck back there, and apparently the Vlogbrothers recommend Metamucil for that. Next question is from Dud V2. Why hasn't StudyLink paid me yet? You know why, because all of that studying you may or may not be doing, all the paperwork that you might not or might have given them, possibly. I don't know. I don't even know who StudyLink is, and I'm not finding out now. Next question is from Matt Yabs. Should we demand our governments force the new F-35 pilots to scream "we" every time they make a turn? I'm worried that we're not getting any comedy value out of these billions. Of course, if we were going to have them shout "we," it would destroy all stealth capability, and you could dub "we," I suppose, or you can have them doing "we." That would be good. They're in their flight suits and they've all wet themselves, because that's actually what they do in flight suits, because they don't have any toilets in there. So they do "we" in their flight suits. So maybe that's good enough. Maybe that's enough comedy for you. The fact that almost all Air Force pilots "we" in their space suits. Air Force suits and space suits, because most of the most astronauts are also test pilots and stuff, because they're just that good. They do all of that while wearing in their spacesuits. Next question is from Bugsy's Evil Deeds. How come every time I'm supposed to zig, I zag? Well, I mean, you've gotten the rhythm wrong. You're going up here instead of down here, and then going back and forward. It creates a resonant ambiguity, which is hard to counteract. I'm making bullshit up here because I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Empirical Mind asks, Trump and that Kim Jong bloke meeting up, and will they be naked mug wrestling on pay-per-view? And if not, why not? Many people would pay good money to see that. Yeah, well, they would. That's for personal time. It's really for personal time. I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm really not saying anything. Oh, I should say something at this point. All I'm implying is that Trump gave everything to Kim, everything, while Kim gave what he gave, all of the other people who have negotiated with him, vague promises of nuclear disarmament. He gave that to President Xi, and he also gave that to the South Korean president, and he also gave it to Dennis Rodman. He gave that to everybody. He always gives that one thing. And it'd be fine if that promise wasn't empty, but it's kind of empty because he's still making nuclear bombs and stuff. So maybe you should just leave it at that. Leave it at that. Trump's going to try to get his Nobel Peace Prize, and he's going to sort of, get a little upset when he doesn't get his Nobel Peace Prize again for the 70th year in a row. Last question is from Charlene Swallows. How many Mormons does it take to elect a party? I think it takes all of them, because basically they only vote in a voting block ever, and that's why they voted for Trump. I mean, he has 3 wives. Trump has 3 wives. They're not simultaneous, but they forgive him for not having simultaneous wives. I mean, it's one after the other. Serial monogamy, except he cheats on all his wives, usually with the next, well, sometimes with the next wife, but, you know, sometimes with porn stars. Well, you know, people I've never heard of who are in pornography. Well, I didn't hear of Stormy until after all the, you know, after all the president stuff, and not after watching all of her tapes. Yeah. And that's it for Tell Someone for this week. If you would like to ask me a question, then the question asking place is down below. Also, there's a dovetail question, which is over here. While I get rained on, I'm just going to put my, oh dear, I'm dangerously talented and I'm getting rained on right now. No sign off, bye.